Now then, we're about to speak to my good friend Niall Mackenzie. And as you would expect from the clean living Scot, I don't think he says one swear word. Now me, on the other hand, that's another story. You've been warned.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Gas It Out. We've got a few coming for you in quick succession. We hope, fingers crossed, because I won't say we've been let down by a couple of people. That's not
You've
true.
let me down.
No,
That's what's happened.
I'm always a let down.
Well, we know that, but when it's come to you sorting the guests out, you've been shit.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I'll
take that. I'll take that on the chin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know your problem.
Go on.
How long have we got?
Yeah.
No, you know your problem is you're dealing with PR people.
Sorts.
Dealing with PR people.
Yeah, but you know how it is.
That's what we call them.
You know how it is in MotoGP, don't you? Yeah, it's like a bodyguard system, isn't it, that you get? But anyway, we are going to be speaking to people. We're hoping very soon to be speaking to like the Frankie Morbidelli, Lucio Cicchinello should be coming. Danilo Petrucci has definitely said he's definitely going to do it. And,
if you say Danilo Petrucci one more time, I'm going to break every rule. I'm driving up the M1 and I'm going to give you a slap.
The thing is, you know, it's one of those where...
you have been saying that, haven't you, for like 6 weeks now. You'll go, Ducati have said Petrucci will do us this week.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
But we love Danilo. And you know that if it was me and you and we just spoke to him in the paddock, it was like, just pop round the motorhome in a bit.
Exactly.
It'd be seconds. But the fact that we're not there...
Well, we haven't got his mobile.
I haven't got his mobile number, unfortunately. Anyway, that's by the by. Welcome to another episode. My name's Gavin Emmett. If you've got this far along and haven't worked out who that nasal, horrible northern voice is.
It is nasal.
And on the other hand, the crackly and, just annoying Lancastrian voice on the other end is Neil Hodgson, who, of course, is a World Superbike Champion and a British Superbike Champion and a British 125 Champion and he's just a lovely guy. Just a lovely guy. Nobody ever said. Especially not Stalker fans. There's been a lot of clamour for Chris Walker. Hey, we are going to get him on, but I'm just loving the build-up. Every week, Neil calls me and says, should we do Stalker this week? I'm like, no. I like to draw this out. I like the tension. It's like when they try to decide who's won in X Factor or anything like that. You got to wait 20 seconds. Well, I think this is waiting 20 months before we get him on, but we'll definitely get him on because that'll be fun if we do.
Exactly. I know he's up for it, and it'd be funny to have a talk about that season, the 2000 British Superbike Championship.
What season's that?
Yeah, don't mention it much. No, it was a great year, so I'm looking forward to getting Stalker on. That will be very entertaining.
How are you anyway? Oh, go on.
I'm good. Good news.
What's that?
You're not going to believe this,
You're leaving BT? Yes!
Yeah. Hey, we have a sponsor.
Give over.
What do you reckon to that? No, big time now.
Seriously?
We've flirted a bit with some sponsorship.
Oh my God, I'm getting excited. Do I need to get really excited? Do I need to... I'm already taking my T-shirt on, ready to put on the team shirt.
Yeah. Well, you'll be taking something off.
Oh God!
But hang on. Yeah, exactly.
Oh God! Right, so it's not that place on the A1 as you're coming up. That big adult superstore, is it?
Hey, every bloke listening to this knows exactly what you're talking about. By the way, everyone rubbernecks when they drive past there. Anyway. No, well, we flirted with Swarfiga. Obviously, we've talked to them. Well, we've not talked to anybody, but there's been a bit of social media.
Then people haven't talked to our people.
No, so there's no freehand cleaner. Cotton gin, Dougie Lampkin, I'm not joking. My ex Dougie Lampkin knows cotton gin's arrived, but I know they haven't started making it yet. But anyway. Do you know my mate Ed Warren?
I do know Ed Warren, yeah.
Yeah, Ed Warren. So Ed Warren, good mate of mine. He's good friends with Tommy Searle, the Lowe's twins. He's got a great motocross track at his house. He's got a flat track.
I had a good day with Ed when we were at the Lowe's twins charity golf day last year. We had a good chat.
Exactly. All round good guy, good friend of mine. He texted me the other day and he went, I'll send you your address. I'll send you some keks. And I vaguely remember Alex saying something that he'd got this new business venture where he's doing underpants. We've got an underpants sponsor, Gav. Kex.
Do they do large?
Well, I know they do small because you're sending me stuff. There's something embarrassing about saying you were small in underpants. It's so embarrassing, isn't it? So, yeah, you heard it here first. We're going big time, man. That is it. First major sponsor. Kex are on board. And now this is when you sit back. You sit back. Don't panic, Gav. We'll have Apple. We'll have Microsoft. We'll have Amazon. They'll all be on. They'll all be on board.
Brilliant.
So there you go.
Tell me
wearing
some now.
Hang on. I sent my address to it. I sent my address to him a while ago. The undies haven't shown up yet. So actually, is this another one of our maybe
sponsors gone wrong?
Yeah.
Oh well.
So yeah, good news. Good news.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to hear that we are going south.
Big.
Going south.
Going big.
Oh, that's fantastic! I'm so excited. Yeah.
And also since Sunday, I daren't go on Twitter because every time I go on Twitter, I had a look yesterday, and the first message was pretty much die. What about? Literally, I'm not even joking. It was like, you know what he's talking about? What about Marquez? He only got a 30-second penalty. So, I'm like, oh no.
Just to clarify, for those who didn't see the latest instalment of Greatest Years, we were live on Sunday on BT Sport, and we're going through. We were doing the best races. Now we're doing the best years in the history of the sport, and it came to 2015. Now the reason we've chosen it, apparently, according to a lot of people on Twitter, it's because we wanted to stir the pot. We weren't. It's because the clamour for people in general. Originally, we went for 92 because that was a lot of people wanted to see something from that era. Then there was a request, wasn't there, that we did something from the modern era, and that was the one that was most popular. It was the one that most people were talking about. So we went to it, and we went there. We went to Sepang 2015. And do you know what, Neil? From a neutral's point of view, am I neutral? Well, anyway, from my point of view, you were quite balanced. You actually gave them both stick. Instead of absolving both of them, you said that Mark was a little bit aggressive, but Valentino crossed the line. But earlier on, you'd said Mark had crossed, and it was just completely...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could not. I expect Vic was looking for the splinters in your arse all night because you were properly perched on top of the fence, weren't you? So, no, but you're a completely balanced view, and there's still people who can't see balance.
Yeah. And
so
I like the lines of what do you know?
Yeah.
What you're talking about.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I'm pretty crap at most things in life. You know that, Gav. But I've got a bit of an idea about motorcycle racing. And then the sort of people that's asking me, what do you know about it? You click on their profile and I don't know. My gut feeling says I'm not being big-headed, but probably more than you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw that out there.
But you did race tractors.
That was funny.
That was my favourite. That was my favourite.
What was it?
Extractor
Can you remember
rider.
what that tweet was? Because
I can't remember. It was something like that. Extractor rider.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, because you weren't on Twitter, I sent it to you.
You sent it to me. Yeah. Cheers. Hey, and you're just jealous or something. It's like
just have a go at your ego.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm still off Twitter. I'm keeping away from it because otherwise, now if you listen to these podcasts, people know the true side of me. I've got nice Neil and I've got grumpy Neil, and grumpy Neil wants to reply to everybody and wants to try and meet them somewhere in a service station or talk it out face to face, which is.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the service station on the A1 again. Sorry, didn't know what you were on about there. What you're offering him up
There
for.
He is.
We've got Niall Mackenzie coming up now, who we both know well, but you particularly, because you've got a business with him. We won't go into the door-to-door salesman job, but you're big pals, aren't you, the two of you, off track, and you've always spent a lot of time together. You know his wife, Jan, his kids well, don't you?
Well, he's my best mate in racing. I've been so lucky. I've got some very, very good friends that I've met through racing bikes, but I've known Neil properly since I'd say 93. I sort of worshipped him before then because I'd started road racing. Niall Mackenzie was a factory 500cc, obviously the equivalent of MotoGP rider at the time. And it's one of them, the famous stories, don't never meet your heroes, you'll be disappointed. Well, obviously I met Neil and I wasn't disappointed. Neil was what Neil is now. He was, even in the height of his fame, he was incredibly humble, totally grounded,
and do you know what?
Normal, nice guy.
You hear that from the people around him. I looked at, I've seen other people talk about him before. Mick Doohan, who they came around about the same time. And in a couple of seasons, I think Neil was ahead of Mick in the championship, and he will say, just he was he was the chap that they used to go out training together, and they'd hang out together, because he was the most normal person in the whole paddock. Wayne Gardner was a bit of a slight. Wayne Gardner was a bit of he was too nice. It was too nice. Maybe that was why he didn't ever win a Grand Prix. I think that's a little bit harsh with the caliber of riders around. But the point still stands that he has zero ego, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's just an all-round good guy, and what an incredible career. I mean, we can always focus on the negative side of people's career, going, you maybe could have done more, you could have done this. I've never once thought about Niall Mackenzie's career thinking it didn't quite happen.
Exactly. And then obviously after all the Grand Prix racing was done, he went back to the British Championship and won it 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and absolutely dominated and showed his class. He really did. And I was fortunate enough to be his teammate in 2000. So it was nice to...
Was that his last year?
Yeah, well, imagine. He wasn't going to retire. He ended up teammates with me, and he thought, I'm just so bored of racing now. I need to do something else. Just get this idiot away from me. Because I talked him to death, as you can imagine. Because back then, it was a bit different, right? And we'd always get changed in the same area in the back of the team truck, so you spent a lot of time together. So I'm joking, we always got on, and he helped me a lot because it was a big pressure year for me. Neil was at the end of his career. We're at complete different points in our career, and he did what you'd expect Neil to do, and he was selflessly helping me more than he'll ever know. But he's always done that throughout his career. He's helped me so much. We'll talk about it when we get him on, because he helped me right at the beginning. That I'd like to bring that up.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's have a word with the Scottish motorcycle legend that is Niall Mackenzie. 2 seconds. Calling Niall Mackenzie.
I think Taz set this up.
Oh, has Taz sorted it? So that should be Neil on the other end if I'm lucky. Neil,
I'm here.
You're there?
Here he is.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very well. Good to hear you, actually. Good to hear from you. How's everything down where you are and the boys?
Yeah, it's all right. Fit and healthy, and just kind of bit of a routine every week. A few drinks at the weekend, and
I bet you've got because out the back you've got a little bit you can ride as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a little. Yeah, it's all pretty safe, little flat track thing, but we just got to be careful. But yeah, we've got a little bit of space to do stuff.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sorry to say that Neil Hodgson is also on the call, so I apologise about that.
Yeah. It's never a perfect world, is it?
No. I mean, you win some, you lose some. I'll tell you what, Neil, without sounding cheesy, I'm missing my old mate. It's we normally see a lot of each other, don't we? So
yeah, we do. And considering how often we do see each other, never really any bad words. We seem to get along, so that's always a good test of a relationship.
Yeah. Well, that's not what Jan keeps telling me when I leave the room.
That's a different story altogether.
That's a different story altogether.
Sounding off in the when he's left and he's gone home, giving him the shit that he deserves. Go on, Neil. You were about to jump in. Sorry, apologies.
No, it's just funny because we've known each other for so long. It's such a long time if you think. Like say it's early 90s. Like 1993 was the first time I really got to know Neil, and I'd moved up to do Grand Prix racing 125s, and Neil was a factory 500 rider at the time. And I can just remember the first time going round to like Neil's motorhome and being invited in and meeting Jan and being so nervous. It just seems it seems like a lifetime ago, but I'll never forget how welcoming you were and kind to me and making me feel like a part of the family. And that's before was Taylor born then? I don't even know if he was.
No, because I think 93 Taylor was born, February 93. So he would be young, but you were no threat or competition at that point, so no problem at all. Happy to be your friend. I think just sort of fast forward a little bit, the only time was actually when we become teammates, and then you naturally distance yourself when you've got a rival. I mean, we didn't ever fall out, but that's just normal in any sport. We just had to kind of give each other a bit of space, and that would be the only time when there was any.
Oh no, we had tension. We did have tension at Knockhill that year. Do you remember that? That was actually we fell out that year. Shall I tell the story?
Yeah, was that when you were on the same team, or?
No, that was actually the year before,
Yeah.
because I was on the Virgin Yamaha that year. That was a year before, and that was your first time at Knockhill on a superbike, and you can tell the story because it is quite amusing.
Well, I was told off my team manager, we got to Knockhill, it's 1999. I'd not been there, well, I've not been in a superbike there. I'd only ridden a 125 round there in 1992. And my team manager, Colin Wright, who you've heard about before on this podcast, said, follow Mackenzie. This was like free practice one. Follow Mackenzie. That's all you've got to do. He's God round here. All right, no problem. So, like, I'm putting my helmet on. I'm about to go down pit lane. He's like, wait, dead serious. Niall Mackenzie goes past. So, poof, I'm on the back of Neil. And Neil knows exactly what I'm doing straight away because I'm not even sneaky about it. It's too obvious. So Neil does what a lot of riders would do. They'd roll the throttle off and think, piss off, I'm not showing you round, mate. Figure this out yourself. So Neil slows down, so I slow down. So Neil slows down a little bit more, so I slow down a little bit more. So Neil gets starting to get angry, which is not like Neil. So Neil comes to a stop. Bear in mind, imagine if you did this now, they'd go mad. You'd be getting fines and all sorts.
Well, this has happened in qualifying in MotoGP recently, hasn't it? But still.
Yeah, not unlike that.
No, exactly. So Neil stops on the track, pulls off the racing line. So I pull up behind him. At this point, he's like giving me like waving his arms, you can imagine. So then he sets off really fast, trying to go fast. So I'm holding my breath, trying to hang on with him for a few corners. Then he rolls off. You can picture the scene. So he comes into pit lane. He doesn't even do a flying lap. So I go into pit lane. He parks up. I park up. Oh my God, he was not happy. Anyway, he went back out of pit lane. I follow him again. And all I was doing was basically doing what my boss had told me to do, Colin Wright. I didn't want to get in trouble because I'd probably get fined off him. But you weren't happy then, Neil?
I wasn't, and it was weird because I just thought, what is he doing? And especially when I stopped, I thought, well, I was actually being stupid then, stopping. What are you doing? You've lost the plot as well. And the coming into the pit lane thing, what I basically did when I came into pit lane, I stopped to see my team manager. And I basically just took all the stress out of me and gave it to him. I said, I don't know what's going on here, but can you just sort it out? He obviously saw what was going on track, so I left him to sort it out with Colin Wright. Colin Wright and Rob Mack had a argy-badgy in the pit lane while we got on with our jobs out on track. And yeah, apart from that one moment, I guess that was really the only little bit of frostiness.
That's that running moment.
Yeah.
Hey, Gav, I didn't learn anything. He still smoked me anyway. Absolutely destroyed me that weekend. So my plan never worked out anyway.
Hey, that must have been great for you though, Neil, when you were racing at Knockhill to race back in Scotland because not many opportunities, basically.
100%. And a lot like my years in GPs coming home or coming to your home Grand Prix or your home BSB round. A lot of riders actually freeze and get a bit stressed and don't like it because it's there's extra pressure. But I was the opposite. I really enjoy going home. I love Donington and I love Knockhill for Grand Prix and BSB, and I just enjoyed riding there. And I kind of rose to the occasion rather than going the other way. What happens at your especially your home Grand Prix is that you're inundated with everyone wanting a little bit piece of the action and stuff needs to be done, which is understandable for sponsors and teams. So when you get away from that and get in the bike, it's like being set free. You get out in the bike on the track doing your job, and it's just a breath of fresh air. It's so nice to get out in the bike because the stuff behind the scenes is quite hectic, but I never had a problem. And yeah, you're right, Knockhill was brilliant because lots of friends and family, inundated with long lost relations looking for tickets and passes, of course.
Standard.
Yeah, relations that you've never seen or heard of before, but that's all right. Everybody shows up and we have a good time. And luckily, I've got a fantastic relationship with Knockhill, so they would help me and still do with anything I needed. So it was, good all round combination.
And you mentioned actually the British Grand Prix coming back when you were a Grand Prix rider. It was a tough era, a tough crowd anyway. But there were a couple of times you were close. You actually were close to winning that. No Britain's ever won it, I don't think, the British Grand Prix. When it's been off the island. So you were close a couple of occasions, weren't you?
Yeah, I always won the MotoGP, and I must admit, it was never as much as I would dreamt about winning it. I never really went there realistically thinking, yeah, I'm going to win it this weekend. But you just go and give it your best as you always do. And I loved Donington. I loved coming home. And I loved the bikes I was on. And yeah, I had a few good runs there. I managed to lead for a little bit in 1989. I was just doing my stuff really, but there's lots of people that were there that year and still remind me that it was a great atmosphere.
Which is the one where you got your Pip Fogarty to the podium.
Well, yeah, then so I finished fourth in 89, which is great. I led for a bit and I was second for a long time, but actually ended up fourth behind Lawson, Schwartz and Rainey. And then I got another chance in 1993. There was a couple went down on the first lap, Barros and Doohan and Schwartz, so it kind of opened up a big hole in the race really. I had made my traditional bad start, so I was kind of charging through. And Foggy got a one-off ride on the Kajiva that year, and Kajiva is actually a decent bike. He got a blinding start as he did, so he was close to the front, but I managed to catch him the last 6 or 7 laps. I had a bit of argy-bargy with him backwards and forwards, and then it all came down to the last corner. And I could tell going in there he was flapping. Whether that was running out of fuel or he got his gears mixed up, we'll never know. But as we came out, I was fourth and kind of right on his tail. His bike didn't drive out the last corner, and it was just the most amazing feeling to get over the line, and I knew I was third. And I just felt like I'd been close a few times getting on the podium, so it was, even if it was a little bit of a lucky one, I still wanted to take it and partied hard that night as I always did, and enjoyed every minute. So very, very fortunate to have had a podium at my home Grand Prix.
I bet you did, and you mentioned there just some of the names. You mentioned Fogarty, but before that, you were talking about people on the podium, the likes of Lawson and Schwantz and Doohans and whatever. It was a tough crowd, and it was an era of egos, wasn't it? And everyone that I've ever heard speak about you, Neil, and you can blush at this all you like, have said that you never had one, and you were actually the one person that got on generally with everybody. Is that fair to say that it was an era of egos and
Yeah, I did, and maybe I would have been more successful if I had been a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more selfish. I don't know, but I enjoyed my whole time in Grand Prix. I had a great time. It was an amazing era. I didn't realise at the time, but it was special. But the depth of talent was incredible. You just mentioned Lawson and Rainey. Well, there's 7 World 500 World Championships between them. Christian Sarin was in there most weekends. Gardner, Schwantz. There's more world champions. So, and a good weekend. Then a lot of the time I was 4th and 5th, and I was a strong 4th and 5th rider. But there's so many world champions and Grand Prix winners in front of you. But that was the way it was, and I wouldn't want it any other way. But it was definitely a good era.
How on earth did you get into the fact? Isn't there a story about you going over to Japan and riding Freddie Spencer's bike or something? And I can't, what was the story around that? There's something around how you actually got a ride in the first place.
Ridiculous, really. I got an opportunity. I was riding in 250 GPs with the Silverstone Armstrong team. Silverstone supported me back then, and I got an opportunity to ride the Skull Bandit Suzuki at Silverstone. So I had a one-off ride there, finished 7th, which I thought was okay. I wasn't ecstatic, but I got a little bit of attention. And then I got another chance in Misano with the same bike and the same team. And I qualified 3rd in Misano on the front row. Again, Lawson and Gardner, I think, were alongside me. And it's like, what am I doing here? Not unlike Neil Hodgson did in Argentina. And that was what got some attention. No one had heard of me. In some ways, that's a good thing, because you suddenly burst onto the scene. It's a new name. It must be a little bit special. I had no clue why I managed to do that, but anyway, I did. And Irv Kanemoto, who was looking after Freddie Spencer at the time, invited me. They were looking for a rider for the next year, and they invited me to go to Japan and test, which I did. So, and it was Freddie's bikes that he rolled out, and I went to Suzuka. I'd never seen the place before, and I thought I knew this was my chance, and if I could somehow stay on the bike and do a reasonable performance, I might have a chance. And I did. I had a day's testing there and went to Narita Airport with an HRC contract in my pocket, and that was that. And it happened that quick. It was just ridiculous. Amazing. Right place at the right time. And I got home thinking, what the heck's happened here? It was just ridiculous. But There you go. That was how it happened.
What was that,
4 or
Neil?
5 years before, I was digging holes for the electricity board.
Amazing.
Neil, which was the story? I can't remember what year it was where you ended up in a negotiation and about a contract, and you thought you were talking US dollars.
Yeah.
But actually, they ended up agreeing it in pounds, and you were like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" Like,
Well, it was actually my leather contract.
That was it.
First year I was with Dainese, and the end of that first year I was in Japan doing an international race at Fuji, I think. And Ares Taichi asked for a meeting, and I had no manager. I just kind of winged it myself. I never really knew what it was worth, but I was always happy with what I got because it was definitely more than working for Scottish Power. So we sat down, and I'd been paid something which was ridiculous. I was being paid 25 or 30,000 US dollars by Dainese for wearing leathers that year, which was just mental money. I thought nothing compared to what the likes of Gardner and Lawson were on, but for me it was just amazing. So Mr. Taichi come along, Mr. Iwata from Taichi, and said, "Well, what would you need, Neil-san? How much money?" And I thought, well, I'm just going to go mental, and I'll ask for double, which would be 50,000 US dollars. So I said, Mr. I probably need 50. I started with 50, and he says, 50,000 UK pounds, which was about double the dollar rate. And I said, yeah. He said, "I don't have to be a 2-year deal then." And I went, "Oh, go on then." So I got twice as much as I wanted after 2 years. And he said, "I'm so happy, so happy." So I was obviously totally undervalued myself all the time, but it was ridiculous. So that was a Taichi story, which was amazing.
What was it like then? Just hearing you talk about that, not managing yourself and so on. But what was it like being a British rider in that era? After it was the post. We're talking mid 80s and then on through, where there's almost, I wouldn't say there wasn't a paucity of talent, but just getting to the top, it was dominated by the Americans.
Yeah.
And had been since Kenny Roberts had taken over and Barry Sheen, dominated by the Americans. The Australians were on the way as well with Gardner and Doohan. What was it like being a Brit in that championship, which up until 10 years before had been dominated by Brits, or had Brits always at the front?
Yeah, well, it was okay. I mean, the Americans and the Australians were really friendly. I mean, obviously very competitive, but they were quite welcoming. Rob Mack had been there a few years before me, so he introduced me to everyone. And I think, like any mates, once we got to Europe, we had a few fairly big nights in their motorhomes and getting drunk, and on a Sunday night, and that kind of breaks the ice. And once the barriers were down a little bit, and they understood I was just a bit of a nutcase that liked the Bacardi and Coke and liked to party, and I was pretty harmless, we became good friends. Kept our distance, race weekends, but then win, lose or draw, we definitely spend time in between races and party on a Sunday night. Some become more friendly than others. I became good friends with Mick Doohan, Kevin Schwantz, and the others remained friends. Wayne Gardner, but he was good to me in the early years as well. And they're normal guys. And what I didn't realise, because they at one point they had all been my heroes before I was even racing. But once you get to know them, you realise they all started out life as scruffy kids riding around fields, riding dirt track on a Friday night in America, and they're just bike enthusiasts that love to race, and they're just normal guys that love their bikes and their racing. And that was, I guess, when you're looking from the outside, you think there's some kind of demigods, but they're actually just regular guys that love motorbikes.
And Neil, out of that group, the riders you're talking about, who was the biggest partier?
Well, they all had their moments. I mean, Randy liked a few beers. He kind of went through a phase of partying hard. Schwantz didn't know when he didn't really know when to stop. They all liked a few drinks, and I introduced them to a few drinks they hadn't seen before, and they quite liked that as well.
Well, you weren't taking Buckfast over, were you?
No, but I introduced them to Bacardi and Coke and Baileys. They'd never really had Baileys before, and
all the manly drinks.
Oh my God! On the quick fire round, I've got a question about that.
Yeah.
What is it about you and your incredibly manly drinks, Neil?
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah,
There is nothing worse than going to a bar with Neil and you walk up to the bar and go, "What you having?" And he'll go, he looks at me because he knows already he's going to disappoint me, and he'll go, "Oh, for a lager and lime," and I'll go, "No, I'm not ordering that." Then he'll go, "Glass of white wine." No.
So
Bacardi.
So what's worse, Odgie? Is it going for a drink then with Neil Mack, or is it going with Sam and asking for an amaretto and Coke? Sam knows. Or we've had Johnny Ray with his what was he having? An espresso martini. Yeah.
I like an espresso martini. They're socially acceptable nowadays, but not when two men go to the bar and Neil orders a Baileys for his first drink. I'm like, come on, mate, come on. Oh God! It's so.
All these guys, they like to drink, but they never got stupid or out of control or aggressive or anything. It was just a nice place to be. They were always got in a nice place. There was never any aggression or madness. So.
Was there anyone then? Because obviously nowadays trying to find a rider who drinks is hard because most of them are big athletes, teetotalers, that kind of thing. Yeah. So was there anyone doing that back then? Does that make sense? Like, was there anyone who was booking the trend? And
not really. Behind the scenes, they all rode a lot off road. Not many of them did the hardcore gym stuff, but they were riding, so they were bike fit and aerobically fit and strong and lean and sensible diets and all of that when the racing was on, and they just didn't mind having a few beers on Sunday night. I guess the guy that started to take it to a new level was Mick Doohan, because he picked up on it, and he didn't do a lot of training when he first showed up, but we started training a bit together, and then he got real serious in the off seasons because it was summer in Australia. He'd go back to Queensland and train with triathletes, and he definitely took it to a ridiculous level. So he was super fit, and then sort of. One rider's doing that, then the others are competition. They need to have a look at what they can do to be at least the best or a little bit better. So it took off around that time, so early 90s.
Neil, a question I've never asked you. So that period we're talking about, that's the golden era of the 500cc period, for me anyway, and that's what's talked about a lot by a lot of people. So you're out there, you're mixing it week in, week out with the absolute legends of our sport. Who... or was there a standout? It's the one rider you got, Neil, Lawson was the best, definitely, because, or were they all individually had their days? Because like you've already mentioned, between them, there's so many world titles, or I think we all can picture so many great races from them all. Who was the standout?
Well, they're all so impressive for a different reason. Lawson, I guess, winning 4 world titles on different makes of machinery, that kind of definitely puts him up there. But also, he won his home Grand Prix, he won Daytona, he won the 8-hour. He just ticked all the boxes. So he's definitely up there. But out on track, he was called Steady Eddie, and he was always going fast, but never looked like he was spectacular. And sometimes we kind of look up to riders that are a bit more spectacular, maybe likes of Schwantz, who only won world championship, but deserved more. Wayne Rainey 3 back-to-back as well. Wayne was here and leading the 4th world championship when he got injured. So I mean, he's up there as well. Before that, a little bit before that, Freddie Spencer, and I raced with Freddie quite a lot. He could do things that no one else could do as well.
Like what? No, with Freddie, because I've heard Keith Ewan talks about Freddie a lot.
Yeah, I've heard that from a lot of people. They'll sort of put him in the sort of mould of just this mercurial kind of talent. A bit Casey Stoner, I've heard some people say. I don't mean in terms of riding style, I just mean this mercurial talent that just does things that you're not expecting.
That's right. I mean, he was the first to start squaring off corners, like run in and then stand the bike up, square corners off, and flat track style, really. So a lot like Marc Marquez does now, obviously not with any elbow scraping or anything, but he understood that, and he would never do an aggressive pass. I don't think he did an aggressive pass in his career. He was so smart and clever at sussing out how to get past riders, whether it was kind of sacrificing a bit of time on the way into corner, squaring the corner off and getting past them on the next straight. He didn't have to do any aggressive barging riders off the track to get the results or win races. He was just, he just was that little bit different. He just had different feel and different strategies and different riding style. And he was just able to do what he wanted with the bike, or as and when he had to, really, whether that was pushing the front or sliding out a corner or outbraking someone. He just had all the tools in his toolbox, really. He didn't have one set riding style. But you sometimes watch him. I remember sitting on a motorhome roof once watching him at Yugoslavia, and he'd go down the back straight and the wind, he'd have a tailwind, and then I'd be watching the flags, and then he'd come up the front straight and the tailwind would be behind him again. It was almost like he had God on his bike blowing him around the track. It was just ridiculous. But
he turned to God though, didn't he? He actually was at one point.
Well, yeah, I've asked him about that. He said he had a Southern Baptist church in his back garden, but he actually never went in there. But he was as far as he was concerned, he was a clean living Christian and he had a Christian way of life, but he wasn't very, very religious. I think also he had a very economical riding style. Physically, he was never sweating or tired, and obviously he won the 2 championships in 1 year, which is just
phenomenal.
An amazing physical challenge and achievement. And that was the other thing. He was never big into training, just liked to ride, but a really economical riding style.
We have this tendency, and we've done it. Obviously, you I don't know whether you saw the '92. We did the Greatest Years program. Unfortunately, we didn't have your Spanish podium there that year. Unfortunately, sorry about that. But we tend to mythologize. I don't know what the word is. Something around that era, though, don't we? As we say, we call it the golden era. But you're around the current paddock, aren't you? You're there all the time. We see you a lot. You work with the Red Bull rookies a fair bit, and you've been involved in that quite a while. And you've been around the paddock now. So, in terms of how the sport is, and we get some great racing, some fantastic racing now. There were great days in some ways, but in other ways, do you think there have been improvements, or vice versa? Does that make sense? Are we in a golden era now as well?
Oh, very much so. I think there's no question the last 4 or 5 years have been a golden era, and the big reason is they've got the rules right. The bikes are so close. In the 500 era, there was such a wide spread of performance on machines and tires, and now we've got one tire rule. The bikes are all very close technically, performance-wise, so that means the times are really close. So I think from that respect, then it's much better because everyone's got a fighting chance. Still the very best riders that are running at the front, but the closeness of it for me is just brilliant because we see how close they are every weekend in qualifying and after race finishes, and for me that's the greatest thing. But it is now down to the riders to just find an extra 100th or an extra 10th of a second to get the job done on a weekend.
You still love it, don't you? You still love it, and you're still obviously involved with your lads in who both raced in British Superbikes or wanted to this year so far. But you still love it, don't you? I always get that feeling that you do.
Yeah. Just that, and I forgot. I didn't finish off the last question really because when you said the '92 season, Michael Doohan, I guess. Out of everyone, it's a shame he didn't have to race these guys in the latter part of his career because he just obviously won 5 championships. But Mick Doohan, right up there with every one of them, and any bike, any track, any condition, he could get the job done as well. And obviously his career stats speak for themselves. But yeah, still love it. Still love being around it, whether it's with the boys or in BSB, at the Red Bull Rookies MotoGP Cup. It's just what we do, and love every second of it.
I know you get asked this question a lot. Tell us about the lads. You know, they're both now racing in British Superbikes. Obviously, hopefully when some racing happens. Like I said, I know you've been asked this question before. How do you cope with that as an ex-racer yourself? Clearly, you know the dangers. You know what it feels like, and now both your lads are at the top of their game, at the top of BSB. What's it like? What's your average weekend like? It must be stressful.
It is. I wear a Garmin watch which has got a heart rate monitor on it, and it's just ridiculous sitting in a chair watching them. I can have like the same heart rate that I will when I'm sort of running 5Ks on a park run the Saturday morning. It's just ridiculous, and that's sitting still. Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. They're their own men now. They've got great teams around them. They've got great people around them, and my job is done as far as their career goes. But you can't. You're on the bike every corner, every lap with both of them, and it is double. It's not just the same because they're both in the same race. It is double. But being a dad that's raced is sometimes more difficult because you understand too much. You can feel it and you can see whether they're racing, what they're thinking about, the moments they're having, the crashes they're having. You know exactly what it feels like, what they're going through, whether it's emotionally or physical pain or disappointment or joy, I guess is the icing on the cake. Whereas parents that maybe haven't been racing or done it are oblivious to that. In some ways, I'm quite jealous and quite envious because I feel everything. So, but I, again, wouldn't swap it for the world. You're looking for that little bit of that drug, that little bit of icing on the cake on a Sunday evening when they've had a good weekend. And as we know in racing,
how does it work? Yeah, how does it work when one of them's had a good result and the other one hasn't? Though? You know what I mean? Because you're like, that's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's never a perfect weekend or a perfect day because they don't both win every weekend. So you, as much if Tarran wins a BSB race and Taylor finished third in a Stock 1000 race or he fell off, then you feel for the one that's had the worst weekend. Someone wrote something. It was actually a woman I was reading. She says you can only ever be as happy as your least happy kid, and that's so true with me in racing because if Taz wins, it's amazing, or Taylor wins and Taz falls off, then it just takes the edge off it. So you actually go home okay, and that there's never any problem or anyone's upset or anything, but you just have that little bit of disappointment. But that's just the nature of the game. That's why
I'm worried. Neil, Odgie, 1 second. I'm just about that. I'm worried less about Neil than I am about Jan. Long-suffering Jan.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
She's much better placed. She understands that she's been through the whole thing with me, but she is. I'm not an excitable person, but she is a lot more calm and logical and thinks things through and sees it all as it is. So she's much more calm in the weekend, whereas I'm high as a kite 1 minute and shooting myself the next. So, but I don't show that. You wouldn't know that, but that's what it's like.
You hide it well.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself, though, finding it hard to control the motocross dad in you? And for those people that don't know what that means, a stereotypical schoolboy motocross dad is a frustrated dad who's angry at the kids, running around like a madman. Yeah. And we see it a lot with parents throughout my career, throughout most riders' careers. You witness it. Do you have the motocross dad moments yourself where you've got to have a word with yourself?
Well, I think I got rid of them early in the boys' careers, but I was also lucky because I've seen a lot of that before mine started racing. So I kept telling myself, if they start racing, just remember not to be stupid like that. So I've had moments with them both in the early years, the first and the second years they were racing, and I've had to have a chat with myself, and they've actually had a chat with me as well and told me just to get my shit together.
I bet there's been a few in the rookies, because you're obviously working with kids who are on the cusp of Grand Prix racing, and they're 13, 14, 15 or whatever. But I've seen some pushy parents around there.
Well, it's the rookies. I mean, it is their ticket to stardom if it goes well, and it's like X Factor. And so they've got 24 parents there, normally 24 dads that are helping their kids. And it's quite interesting to look from the outside. And I know what they're going through, and I feel for them, but sometimes can be quite amusing or upsetting or whatever. But the rookies crew keep their eye on the parents as well, and they're there to help them and try and keep them calm, and certainly they'll discipline if they have to discipline the dads. But it is it's a hotbed of parent, son or daughter emotion in there. It's quite.
Have you seen it kick off there, Neil?
Yeah, back in the day, Brad Binder's dad, Trevor Binder, is a good friend. He was one of the worst. I mean,
no way.
Brad was there first, and Trevor had a lot of run-ins with the rookies staff. But I mean, even to occasions where they could easily have asked them maybe not to come back, but they could see that Brad was going to be good. They liked Trevor. We liked Trevor. And then, so Brad did his thing, and Trevor was definitely quite stressed throughout Brad's time in the rookies. But when Darren came along, I remember, because the timing was the same as Taylor and Tarran. Taylor was there when Brad was there, and Tarran was there when Darren Binder came along. And the first test of the year, because I was there helping Tarran, Trevor said, I'm a different person now. I'm not going to be like I was with Brad. I'm going to be completely different with Dazza, which he was, and he enjoyed the journey rather than getting stressed all the time and trying to fiddle the bike when he shouldn't have been fiddling with it and shouting because he didn't have a bike that was as good as the others. And he took it all on chin, and he was great with Darren. So I'm really pleased he enjoyed these 2 years that Dazza was in the rookies. But Trevor Binder was one of the worst because he believed in his kids, rightly so, and he was there to make sure they went on to bigger things. So it got fraught on occasions, but he got through it all.
It's funny, isn't it?
I've asked you this question before, but it'd be nice for people at home to hear. So you've been working with the rookies since day one, haven't you?
Pretty much, yeah. 10 years, but yeah. 4 years also with my two lads, so I've been in there a lot of years since 2009.
Yeah. Tell us, because you've worked with them, who's been the star, the one standout rider where you go, I tell you what, when I saw this 13-year-old kid,
Chanon Chu, incredible,
right?
Chanon Chu. Well, Andy's brother Dennis, but Dennis's first year, he's so tiny. He was like 35 kilos or something, so he was too small. But he obviously had some talent. But Chanon Chu was like, first year was stand out, and well, we see his career hasn't gone the perfect path, but a lot have stood out. Brad Binder wasn't particularly stand out, but he obviously was consistent, and he went on to great things. But there's been a few. Jorge Martin was good, solid. Had a good solid work ethic. Didn't stand out, but he obviously gone on to great things. Juan Mir as well wasn't a standout kid in the rookies, but he was good, and you could see he had potential. And really, that's what they're looking for. You don't have to win the championship to be guaranteed success. If you're looking a bit special, even if you're sort of in the top 5 every weekend, the people that know and important people in paddock will pick up on that.
Here's one for you then. Chanon Chu, here's one for you then. You probably want me to answer this. Has anyone, because you're involved in the selection stage of it as well, has anyone ever done the famous brown envelope?
No,
I've never asked you this, by the way.
I'm not heavily involved in the selection process, but I have a look at who's there, and then, but I don't have any influence at all. And no,
didn't stop you getting that nice fancy car though, did it?
Yeah. Did you like when you walked?
Yeah, exactly. I've never asked you that before.
Yeah. No, it doesn't really, and you can tell if there's half a dozen Brits in it, then it might be a bit suspicious. But there's only ever 1 or 2 Brits every year.
Are there going to be any? Because we were talking about this with Cal, and he's talking about the Talent Cup and trying. We need someone to do that so they can go on to the rookies. You know, so where are we at there? Because there have been out throughout the years, riders have gone well in the rookies. Scott Ogden's the one who's obviously won the Talent Cup. But when I look back and I see Danny Kent obviously did all right. He did quite well, didn't he? I think it was him and Sissis around the time, and Brad Ray did well, didn't he? I remember when he was in it back in the day, and obviously he's doing okay now in British Superbike, doing well in some places. But Scott Ogden is the only one.
There's a lot of gone in different, have got successful career paths, and not necessarily in Moto3 or MotoGP. But it's very difficult. Sometimes riders that are accepted at the selection event and get in there, they think, I've arrived, that's it. And it's just a case of coasting to MotoGP glory. But really, that's when the hard work starts. And even if they win the championship or they finish in the top 2 or 3, it's still a big step to Moto3, as we've seen with Chanon Chu. Chanon Chu dominated.
What was the opinion of Rory Skinner then? Who because I remember he came in and then he obviously went back. And when I'd seen him in British Talent in the rookies, he looked like he'd impressed on occasion.
Yeah, it was a series of events with Rory. He had 3 years in the Rookies Cup, and he was making good progress, and he'd come on strong. His last year he won the first race at Jerez, and then he got taken out in the second race. And sometimes that can just kind of knock things a little bit. And he lost his way a little bit in his last year, when it was looking like that could be his big chance. He'll get 3 years maximum in the Cup. So that was his third year. And then he just lost his way a little bit, whether it was with bike setup or not feeling it or lack of confidence. And then so that kind of finished his chances of jumping into a Moto3 team. Otherwise, if he had gone on to finish in the top 2 or 3 or be winning a lot of races that year, it would have been a great chance for him. But then again, he's taken a different career path, and things are kind of working out for him in the BSB paddock. But there's no guarantees, and that's a fatal mistake a lot of them make when they get accepted and they start doing they're in there for a year, or they get asked back for a second year. You can never stop working hard, doing whatever you can. And it's also difficult because some of the parents' families, they don't do any other racing. They don't have the funding or the finance to do that. And unless you're backing it up with a national championship or maybe the junior world championship, it's very difficult when there's 10 kids that are doing that and getting track time and getting race experience. So it is a tricky one. But I think anyone, if they're determined enough, then they'll find a way. Look at Joe Roberts. He's had a couple of quiet seasons. He was a rookie Scot rider, and now he's come good and could go on to be the next big American thing. So it's great breeding ground and a great place to learn your trade, even if you don't come out of it with a Moto3 contract.
Yeah, it's a long journey.
It is,
that's the
reality.
It's long, yeah.
But it's being around those kinds of people though that make things happen, isn't it? That's how I think of it. You know, it's like being around fast people makes you faster. It's one of those. It's one of those things of rules of all time, isn't it? Obviously, nowadays, I see you and Neil most of all doing stupid things in your garden for your insurance company, and you two, and putting all the insurance thing together. You're having to work with Neil Hodgson at close quarters now. Obviously, you were teammates back in the day, and I get to work with him now. It's hard, isn't it? It's a nightmare.
Yeah, well, we share him, and that's what's good. We don't have to be 24/7.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
So
it's too much.
Yeah, and in the world of racing, there is a bit of downtime. So Neil and I like to be busy. So we thought we'd fill in our days with doing something a little bit different. So that's where the Mackenzie Hodgson thing came from.
You love it. You both love it, though, don't you? You love getting your leathers on.
I tell you what, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, and it's not even a get-rich-slow scheme. We do work hard. We do that thing in the garden, and we talk. And
I've seen you at the bike shows as well.
Yeah, but there is no big retirement pot.
I tell you what, who's the best salesman? Right, Hodgie always claims he's not a salesman. Again, but every time I see him, oh my God, he could talk the hind legs off a donkey.
Right, well, it depends on the gender. If it's a nice female biker, then he's obviously got the looks and the charm, and I don't know how, but he can kind of,
just undoes the top button of his shirt.
And my customer's more middle-aged biker, 40s, 50s, with some classic two-strokes in their garage, because we're good at multi-bike policies. I'm really good with the old boys that like plodding around on their old bikes. So we have different areas of the market to attract.
To aim at, you play to your strengths. It's funny because we do all the bike shows, and we absolutely love it. We're on our stand, and people come up to us and go, "Oh my God, how long have you been here for? You here for 10 days at the NEC?" And I think because for me and Neil, this is our baby. After racing, we've both got plenty of things we're doing with TV, and we've got other streams of work. But when we started this, because we're both competitive, we wanted it to be right. We wanted it to be good. We wanted it so that we created something that we're proud of, really, didn't we, Neil?
Yeah.
So we're stood there on our stand, bloody proud, and trying to spread the word of a new company.
He's gone again, Neil. He's gone again.
He's gone again.
He's gone.
No, but it's true though, isn't
No,
it?
I know it's true. I'm only taking the mick out of you.
Yeah.
As you know I do, because you always claim you're not a salesman, and then you've always got some great things where you go,
Hey, listen,
that's
Gav,
fair enough. It's fair enough.
Let me just tell you, we've been going just 3 years. We already insure thousands of people, and the beauty of it, if you come with us, because we've got so many contacts in the industry, we get mates rates, discounts on stuff. We pass that down to our customers, and that's what makes us a bit different. So who knows, maybe in the future, people will get discount on Keck's underpants. There you go. Neil, you won't even know what that means. We need to talk about that, Neil. We need to talk about that.
I know. Yeah, we won't go there.
Mates rates are me is pricked up. Mates rates.
No hard sales pitch for me, but we are two guys out there. We're there 24/7, and it's their company. And track us down if you want us to look after you, because we will. And if you are with us, we're there to look after. So.
Cheers. Who was that? Who was that having a cup of tea? Was that you, Neil? Well,
So yeah,
it could be either of you.
It was Neil having a glass of white wine.
having a Bacardi. Hey, I've got
20
to
past 2 somewhere.
I've got to ask you, Neil. I've always wondered this, because obviously you got your 3 British Superbike Championships when you came back after Grand Prix, and you went back and showed what you were capable of and showed your class, and if there was ever any doubt of it. But I just wonder, in terms of your years, what you're proudest of, and I'm sure you're going to be proud of all your careers. You rightly should be as well. But which do you look back on more fondly at? Is that a fairer comment?
Yeah. There's some years you're proud, and other years it's just sheer enjoyment, and then other years it's hell. Yeah, they're all good for different reasons, I guess. One of my proudest years was in 1993. I had sort of ended up with no factory deal for 1993, and an American businessman, Bob McLean, put a team together, WCM Motorsports, and we ran a private Valvoline sponsored Rock Yamaha in the 500 World Championship, and it was just a nice challenge. Great guys around me, a small kind of family effort. We finished ninth in the championship, including that podium at Donington, and that was a really I was proud of that year, and worked hard, and we all worked hard and got on, and there was no real glitches. So that was probably my nicest year.
And his worst year was riding with me in 2000. Tell everyone the Colin Wright story.
Which one?
Which one? I'm just what I was about to say.
Oh, that one.
Neil.
Right, yeah. Right.
Neil, you're retiring then?
Yeah. Neil and I Colin Wright was a team manager, Darryl Healy's team, GSE INS Ducati team in 2000. And start of the season, Neil in testing in the first couple of races was just a little bit quicker than me. And I kind of twigged then that maybe I was 39 years old. Maybe this was the year that I needed to hang my boots up. But anyway, Colin Wright had ideas to do it a bit sooner rather than later. And after the second round, which was Thruxton, I had performed fairly average. And Colin's famous for his meetings. He said, I need a meeting Tuesday, Coventry. And I had never been to a meeting before. So all right. So I wasn't living far away at the time. Went to see him. No clue what it was about. I know I had an average weekend, but I intended to put it right wherever we were going next. And so walked in his office, sat down, and Colin says, right, oh yeah, next meeting Snetterton. I think we should go to Snetterton. We'll keep the hospitality unit there Sunday night, have a big party, and announce your retirement.
Can you imagine this?
And I said, you what? He says, that's the trouble with you. No, I said, just as well I'm sitting down, Colin, otherwise I fell on the floor. He said, well, that's the trouble with you. I never know what you're thinking. I think you need to retire. It's all over, isn't it? And maybe it was a little bit of reverse psychology or whatever he was doing. I said, well, no, I'm not retiring at Snetterton. There's no need to keep the truck there on Sunday night because I'm going to see the season out. And so with a cup of tea and I went home, and that was it. And then it got, obviously didn't win the championship, but it got better as the season went on. And about a couple of races further in, he said, forget that meeting. I'm happy now. You're doing what you're supposed to do and everything's okay. So he changed my mind. He didn't want me to retire. And
how good's that, though?
Okay. And to be fair to Darrell, Healy and Colin, and Neil won the championship at Donington. Big party at the Priest House for my retirement and Neil's championship, and we ended the season everybody friends and happy. But I must admit, after the second round, it was a little bit of a surprise that I was going to announce my retirement. I hadn't even thought about it.
Super.
Neil's like, hang on a minute. I'm just jumping on a Ducati. I'm just trying to get used to this big V twin. It feels a bit different. It's going to take a bit to get my head around. I'm not bloody retired.
Yeah,
Can you imagine it?
Brilliant.
Like, I'll make that decision.
Yeah. But I got to say, Colin, right, we probably Old Dog and New Tricks didn't really work for us, although we were friends then and are still friends. But he did a great job with young riders, Neil Hodgson, James Tosland, Leon Haslam. Took them to great things, so can't knock his whatever his management skills are, but he's certainly a little bit different.
That is so funny.
How good's that though? It's a good story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd
I'd have preferred it though if you'd have tried the accent, because I'm enjoying Neil Hodgson's accents more than anything.
There's a lot of bleeps involved in that conversation.
It would have been the ultimate, right? We're gonna fucking announce your fucking retirement.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, all right.
You can see him there, Neil, sitting back in his seat.
I can see it. I had that. What happened with me is the year before, I was new to the team, and he, honestly, we fell out so many times. I had that many meetings with him, and they'd go on for 2 hours. And actually, like Neil said, it worked for me though, because he was trying to straighten me out. He could see what I was doing wrong, but I was stubborn, and I didn't know I was wrong. So I was like, no, I believe this. So yeah, God, we had plenty of meetings. Very funny. Looking back, it's funny. Weren't at the time.
Yeah. Meetings about meetings.
Yeah. I told you that time in 2001, the season had just started. What happened was the winter of 2001, they did a test at Kyle Army, and Dunlop turned up with some new qualifiers, and I think I had 3 qualifiers to test. And by the time I put the last one in, I was that quick because the qualifiers was good, and I ended up finishing the test the fastest. Fast forward then to start the seasons at Kyle Army. I don't know if it's the first or second round. And I finished something like 5th and a 4th. And after the race, that was Colin went, right, everyone's waiting to go home. And he's like, I'm having a meeting with you. So I had to sit in this meeting. And basically he said, obviously we're not happy with your performances, and we're going to cut the money you're being paid because the boss, Darrell Healy, thinks we're paying you too much if you're going to ride like that, basically.
Oh my God.
That meeting went on for like about an hour, and I was just getting bollocked for an hour. It wasn't good. JT was stood outside because he was laughing afterwards, going, JT's going, what were we saying? What was he saying? I came out bright red and angry, you know what I mean? Because it was one of them, actually, I rode okay. I didn't ride bad. It was just, I'd flattened myself testing because we'd used all these qualifiers. But so, yeah. So we'd both felt the experience of being on the shitty end of the stick with a Colin Wright meeting.
Colin, yeah.
But it motivated me, so there you go. So are we ready for the quickfire round, Gav?
I was about to say, have you brought your jingle to the party?
Yeah, get ready. I have. I've been practicing this jingle for get ready. 2 seconds. Hang on, the jingle's.
What?
Yeah, that's my pen in the cup next to the. I'm in the office. I'm sat on my bed.
Classic. Classic.
Right, Neil, you've listened to some of these podcasts before, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's a quick fire, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a bit.
He sounded hammered by it. He sounds so excited.
God, here we go. Right, Neil, we've already established that you're a big drinker. Not. Out of the choice of half a lager and lime, a glass of white wine, Bacardi and Coke, and a Baileys, what do you go for?
Bacardi and Coke.
Yeah.
Straight in. Not even hesitating.
Straight in. Growing up, who was your biking hero?
Kenny Roberts.
As a kid, what poster did you have on your wall in your bedroom?
Blue Peter, Valerie Singleton, John Knox, and Peter Purvis. And Petra Patch.
And Shep the dog.
Petra was one dog, Patch was the other,
right, okay.
And the cat was a little Siamese cat. I don't know what it was called.
Who are these? Who are these people we are talking about?
Blue Peter.
Oh, Blue Peter. All right, okay. Yeah. Did you ever write up to Blue Peter?
Did I write? I wrote in for a poster, and they sent me a poster. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Quite a serious question coming up. Who's your favourite son?
Was that sent in by Taz?
Whoever is the fastest on any given day is the favourite.
Good answer. Right, Neil. So some of the questions are a bit more technical. So you've invited me and Vic, obviously my girlfriend, to come round for something to eat.
Yeah.
You're cooking.
Yeah.
What's the 3-course meal you're cooking me and Vic?
Right. You'll get Parma ham and melon for.
Oh, classic.
Old school.
Yeah.
No cooking involved. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Penny arrabbiata for main course.
Bloody going Italian here.
Solid.
Yeah.
Ice cream to finish.
No. And pudding. Where would I go with my puddings? Yeah.
So,
It would be a eating mess.
So basically, Parma ham and melon, zero cooking. You're going to boil some pasta and put some penny arrabbiata sauce on.
Yeah.
And then you're just going to make a right mess of a pudding and call it an eating mess.
Well, it'll be the presentation. Yeah, I'm seeing the presentation, and it's nice. It's not
Okay.
nice.
All right, okay. Right, last question. I need to know, you've had a lot of good teammates, nice teammates. Who's your favourite teammate, stroke, BT pundit, / business partner? You might have to think about this one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can answer that one. No, who has he? All right, can I switch it though? Who has been your favourite teammate?
James Whittam.
He always says this, and it always says. Do you know what I always say, Gav?
Go on.
Niall Mackenzie.
Wait a sec. When JT was here, you said it was JT.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. You know, I'm shallow. You know what I'm like. You know what I'm like. Nothing changes. Superb.
So Neil, just sort of what are you up to now these days? Well, we're all locked indoors, and you've got your garden. What have you got on?
Yeah, my lawnmower blades have never been sharper. My toolbox has never been tidier. And I do a little bit of writing for Classic Motorcycle Mechanics, so I do a little bit with that, but there's not a lot of work going on. But lots to do around the house. I've kind of finished off my 98 Yamaha R1 restoration.
Oh, yeah.
I find something to do every week. We tend to... I like a bit of training as well, so I try and do a couple of maybe a run and a cycle every day, use up my hour out of self-isolation. Do have a routine Monday to Friday and then just get hammered on the weekend.
And that R1 you've got, that's like one of the originals. Is that like the original classic? Yeah,
mine's the red and white one. The popular one at the time was the blue one. They're a lot more kind of popular and sensible. The red and white one was a bit garish, but that is the collectible one now. So I found a nice one in Wales a couple of years ago and managed to restore it.
Have you heard him? He's so on the sales pitch there, isn't it? This is the one that's yeah. Hey, Neil, I know you. Everything's for sale at some point. Everything's got its price. Brilliant.
Brilliant. Right.
Good man.
Well, we better let you get back to do some fettling.
Right. Sounds good. Good to talk to you guys.
It's been good.
Great work on the weekends.
Cheers.
I think we've got next 2001. Have we got another one that's from the Mackenzie era. I think we might have one coming up. I'm not sure off the top of my head. It's not easy to get a lot of the archive because it's all in Spain. So
yeah.
But yeah, we've been enjoying it. Been enjoying going back, and I particularly enjoyed '92. I did. And speaking to the weirdest thing then was speaking to Kevin Schwantz and Wayne Rainey in my attic. It's just bizarre. And for people to be watching it at the same time. So yeah, bizarre. Righto. Well, can't wait to catch up again soon and in person, hopefully.
Okay.
And,
take care, guys.
You take care of yourself and send our best to Jan and the boys. And we'll probably speak to them soon enough here, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Cheers,
All
then.
right. Cheers, Neil.
Cheers.
See you, mate. Bye.
Oh, lovely to speak to Niall Mackenzie. Neil, he's just a thoroughly nice chap, isn't he? All the way through.
I know. What he's always consistent though. He's always you can imagine. Obviously, me and you, Gav, spend a lot of time together. But me and Neil do. We've going on these like road trips around the country, trying to promote Mackenzie Hodgson Insurance, and we've spent hour after hour together in the car and putting the world to rights. But it's funny because we're such different personalities, but we get on so well. I'm like, we'll be driving and I'll go, "Oh, he's a dick, innit?" And Neil, I can't think of who. Like, just for example, I'll go like, someone's a bit of a dick, and Neil will go, "Yeah, he's all right, though, isn't he?" You know, it's like Neil it's like he sees the good in everybody, and I'm like, "Oh, I think he's a bit of a dick," you know.
I can see that though. I can imagine it. Yeah, you're quite black and white, and he'll see a shade of grey. Which is it's quite good though. It's quite a good way to compliment things, isn't it? It's quite a good. That's why you do get on with people, isn't it? Like you're all, all the things that you are, I'm not, which is why it works, isn't it? You know, like you're loud, big ego, that sort of thing.
Rude,
not very funny,
arrogant,
and then
and then there's you. Where do we start, Gav?
Exactly. Blooming heck. And I love hearing the fact is that he was in the era of some greats, and he mentions the names. It's like, oh yeah, like this, and they're all going out and having a drink in the motorhomes at the end, and that has changed definitely. That era of racing, in terms of the bonhomie, the atmosphere there was in the paddock, it's a lot safer now. There's a lot of good things now. There were a lot of great things then as well, and you almost can't compare eras, can you?
No, you can't compare eras, but I think the era to racing, that'd have been a nice era to racing because of the social side afterwards. I think I was lucky because they were still socialising after races after Neil retired, then that next sort of 5 or 6 years. But like you said, no, there's still the odd party goes on at MotoGP, but it's pretty rare. And you certainly wouldn't get a motorhome with like 6 riders in it during the season, all pissed, having a bit of a laugh, talking about the race. That just wouldn't happen now.
Maybe at Jack Miller's. And actually, Jack Miller's might be the only one.
Yeah, there'd be Jack and Cal, but who else would be in there?
Yeah, maybe a couple.
You know
of
what I mean?
In there, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So, Darren Binder, he'd be in there maybe. I don't know. I don't know who, but you know what I mean. It's like so. Yeah, but you touched on something there, safety. You know, back then in the late 80s, certainly early 90s, racing 500 GP bikes on tracks with not a lot of runoff. Bloody hell, that certainly gets my respect. Tough times, weren't they?
And now that's why I was saying I feel for Jan, who's been through it once with Neil, and then has to go through it again with the kids. You know, and just having no control over that situation.
And it's never ending because they're still both relatively young lads. They've got another 10 years left of their career. Poor Jan, literally, I think for any partner of a racer goes through a lot, and they deal with it. But then to literally, as Jan has come out the other end, Neil retires, life should be good now. Then it literally, not long after, just all started again. And they're already 10 years into both kids, aren't they? To Taz and Taylor have been at it a long time now. But like I said, they've got another 10 years left easy of their careers. So, yeah, it's bloody hard. It is hard.
So thanks again to Neil for joining us today. We've got, as I say, some more guests coming up very soon indeed. What have you got lined up for the rest of the day, the rest of the week, before we go back to Greatest Years at the weekend?
Not much. It's Tuesday afternoon. I'm going to go out and go for a run. I'm trying to get up to 5Ks. I know that might sound pretty poor because I look after myself, but I can't run because I've got a dodgy knee. But I've been building up, so I'm going to try and do about 4.5K. I know it's not much in it, but I've been really taking it step by step. You've been doing loads of running, haven't you?
Yeah. I did.
Yeah. Are you where you're at now? Are you at 5Ks?
10.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Well,
here we go.
9.5 the other day and 9.5 the day before that because.
Right. let's be honest now.
Yeah.
When I've been doing I've been running up to 4Ks. It's a steady jog because of my knee, right? And that's been taking me about half an hour.
Yeah.
Which is horrendous. Where are you at with
No,
10Ks?
that's where I am. It's an hour for 10K.
Yeah.
So that's all right. I'll take that. I know some
my
people
God.
are so much faster and all that, but for me, it's been decent. So yeah, but I had stopped because of my Achilles. So, but I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it because we're allowed out once. I want to make the most of going out, but that's all set to change. We're allowed to go out a couple of times now. So.
But you're a big lad as well, and I don't mean that I'm not taking the piss, but you are, you're big boned, aren't you? You've got massive legs,
It's all in the legs, as you well know. Most of it's in the calves. Yeah.
Yours though, your body mass is just built up of bitter, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just like a
just
barrel. That's why I always
ale.
say everyone else has a 6-pack. I've got a barrel.
Yeah. I'm impressed you've done 10Ks though. I am impressed. Well, you haven't quite done. In fact, because we've had this conversation, it just fired me up. I'm going to go straight out. I'm going to run 5Ks. There you go.
There you are. Do it.
There you go. There you go. What a hero.
Send it to me. Yeah. Righto. I will speak to you very soon indeed. I hope this will be out before the weekend. We've got Greatest Years on BT coming on Sunday. 2001, back to Rossi's first year. My first year in the paddock.
I can't wait for that.
So I'm really looking forward to that. It will take me back, I'm sure. That's to come on Sunday. And the 500s again. I'm with Rossi on them, so it is entertaining.
And it was a good year.
Scrap between him and Biaggi.
Well. Exactly.
Barcelona. And also the elbow at Suzuka.
Yeah, coming on to the start and finish straight.
Yeah.
I think I'm analysing that on my screen. So
right, excellent. I'm looking forward to it. Righto, well, we will see each other then. As for everyone at home, thanks again for listening. We do appreciate it. We really do appreciate it. And we've had so many lovely comments. We're not going to come on air and say, oh, John from Derby said this or whatever, but we do appreciate them, and we're not.
And we do read them.
We do read them. We do.
A lot.
And all the nasty comments, we ignore them. So no, but we have taken stuff on board like sound levels. We're trying our best. It is just me and Neil, two technophobes, sticking a mic in front of each other, and levels and all that. We do what we can. Neil's got no internet there, so it's really hard to get anything done. But we just appreciate it, and we're doing this for fun. We laugh about sponsors and that sort of thing. It's just a bit of chat that we always have between myself and Neil. We're just doing it for a bit of fun, and hopefully with the lockdown easing a little bit here, that it's lessened some of the load, and we will keep it going. There's a lot of people we want to speak to too. So if you've got any ideas on those, then we'll try and get them across them. The likes of Stalker and Jim Witt, Jamie Whittam come up more than any, I think. So we'll be speaking to them very soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Gav?
Yes?
I love you, man. Love you so much.
Right, we better go. I'll speak to you later. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.